Hello everyone, I have gotten quite a few requests about my UI and what add-ons I'm using, so I'm going to use this video to go through that. And I'm going to use this gameplay footage to go through it step by step, show you what my add-ons are, what they do for me, how I use them. And I'll use this clip to do that. So first we have here a high altitude, low flap jump, so I can land right on top of the enemy flag. Because I wanted to try to cap this flag, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cyclone this priest. Okay, and right underneath here, you can see the cyclone. That's big debuffs. I've just repositioned it, so it's underneath the nameplate instead of to the right, which is where I think it normally is. And that tracks my CC and my interrupts on the target, but also friendly player CC and interrupts on the target. This is what allows me to chain CC with other players without having to communicate with them. Now, I have them in Cyclone, but they have Trinket available. But I'm capping the flag, so this basically forces them to Trinket. Alright, this is going to force a Trinket from the priest to stop this cap. And they're above their nameplate. That is nameplate cooldowns. This is extremely important for tracking things like Trinket and interrupts and the major defensive cooldowns that are available and offensive cooldowns. It can track any of them. You can also filter it, if it's too overwhelming looking at what's above their nameplate. Right, but that tracks their Trinket, their interrupt, their major offensive cooldowns, major defensive cooldowns when they'll be available. Okay, just letting this go on for a bit. Okay, I'm going to get on the mage. The mage is on me, so I'm going to counter pressure them. Okay, and there is my root beam. Right, solar beam, you can see, so they're silenced. This shows up again underneath the nameplate. And there is ice block. So the ice block is a major defensive cooldown, and I actually use Plater to track that. So that's an option in Plater. I'll show you where that option is towards the end of the video. All right, so that is where I track major defensive cooldown usage, the active defensive cooldown usage from the player. Okay, I kind of made a mistake there. I should have directed that onto the mage, but the priest was in ultimate penance. Still looks like it hit the mage. Okay, so the priest has Trinket down from earlier. I know they're off of DR, so I'm going to Cyclone them. Alright, and you can see the Cyclone is showing up underneath the nameplate. Again, that's big debuffs. Okay, so I'm going to make another stab at this. The problem with this fight is they have 2 healers and a DPS there. We have 4 players, they have 3 players, but 2 of their players are healers. And this is really bad, so we have overcommit here, and these healers could tie us up and really cost us elsewhere on the map. So the only way to have success here is to try to get a cap on the flag. So I test it to see if anybody's paying attention. They are. I get stopped. I thought it was the mage that stopped me, but I think it's actually the priest that stops me. Okay, so I switch attention to the mage now. Okay, right there, you see they missed their kick on me. And above the nameplate, you can see that with nameplate cooldowns. In the orange frame, that is their interrupt. So they don't have Trinket, they don't have interrupt, and they don't have 1 ice block. They still have a 2nd ice block left because they're a frost mage. Okay, I'm pumping damage into them. And I get the 2nd ice block. So above, you can see they've used Cold Snap. Right, and here's their 2nd ice block. So they don't have anything now. They don't have Trinket, they don't have an interrupt, they don't have either ice block. So I'm going to try for a cap here. Okay, moving towards the flag. Okay, right here, I Cyclone them. So they can't Trinket it, they can't block it, and they weren't able to interrupt the cyclone because their interrupt is on cooldown. So if the priest and the druid don't notice, I'm going to get this cap. Right, and I got it right before the mage gets out. So that's a win for us, right? This was the only win condition for us in this fight, was to actually get a CC cap on the flag. I'm going to go ahead and let this go forward because something kind of interesting happens here. Okay, so now I just need to make sure they don't get the flag back. The mage is very upset with me. I wild charge, stop the Ray of Frost. I haymaker him, right? So I bash him. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to haymaker him over next to the priest so I can catch them in a double root beam. There it is. And almost I have it. I just think that's a really cool move. So it would have been awesome if I had landed it. The priest was just out of range of that. I almost root beamed both of them off of that haymaker. Oh, and I guess I could talk about this right now. So another one of the add-ons that I use is RGSCT. That's what you see on the sides here. So on the left, that is damage and healing that I'm taking. On the right, that is damage and healing that I am doing. And I use that mainly when I'm reviewing footage. If something happens that I don't quite understand what happened, RGSCT, when I look at it, will usually let me know what happened. So it's a very valuable tool for reviewing footage. But also it's very valuable in the gameplay itself. So in the middle, RGSCT will tell me when I dispel things for myself. So here you see I dispelled Frostbomb, the snare part of it. And it also tells me when I dispel things on enemy players. Like it will tell my mage what I spell steal. It will tell my shaman what I purge. Right, and the other thing it does is it gives you an entering combat and leaving combat message. This is extremely valuable for stealth classes to know when you can stealth. But it's helpful for any class because it lets you know when you can mount. Like if you're trying to get out of a fight, it will show you when you leave combat and you can immediately mount to get out of there. Okay, so I missed that. That would have been super cool if I had actually landed that haymaker into the double root beam. But fortunately, the priest helps me out and runs into the solar beam anyway. So I kind of landed it, maybe? Can you give me credit for that, please? Okay, so that's the basic elements of my UI. I'm going to show you where I show the defensive cooldowns on Plater here at the end, so you can see where that check mark is. And I will try to upload the profile for Plater. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. It's a very, very long text file. Maybe if I break it up, I can do it on the YouTube page. I'll let you know if I'm able to do that. Plater is my nameplate add-on, and the main thing I wanted to show you, because I think this is what most people would be interested in, if I go to buff special, and then down here towards the bottom, I have defensive player CDs checked. So what that will do is show me that the main defensive, and I mean active, defensive cooldowns that the player has in effect, and it shows up by default on the right side of the nameplate bar. I think that's usually where big debuffs is. So again, as I explained in the video, I've moved big debuffs underneath the nameplate bar. Right, so that is how I use that. And for the profiles, share profile, takes a while to load. There's the profile, guys. So there you go. I hope you all got that. Did you get that? Okay, I'm going to shut this down then. I'm sure you all have that. Plater is the add-on that required the most tweaking to get it to look the way it is. The other ones that I've talked about mostly come looking that way straight out of the box with just a little bit of adjustment and positioning. So I am going to try to see if I can get this huge text string out to you on the YouTube page somehow. Okay, that's it for this one. Take care, everybody.